Hello and welcome to another episode of Scott Reads Comics. Today I would like to cover the Chronicles of Conan, Volume 21, subtitled Blood of the Titan and Other Stories by Roy Thomas, Michael Fleischer, John Buscema, and others. This was, of course, Volume 21 of Dark Horse's reprinting of the regular Marvel Conan title. When Dark Horse got the license for the Conan comic books, they got the ability to reprint all of these great comics from that Marvel had produced in the intervening years. And not only did they reprint them, these stories are completely recolored. And while this is on slick paper, and I'm not a huge fan of that particular medium for comics, the recoloration is very interesting. I like it. I'm actually going to compare it as I go along to one of the existing issues because I do have all of these issues in their original format of color comics on newsprint. I picked this particular volume up a couple of days ago at Ide's incredible sale. This thing cost me $4.50, which is amazing for what you get, the value of story and content that you get in here. It was so great that I actually picked another one up today, which I will cover on another show, Volume 20, the preceding volume, also for $4.50. So you can't really beat it. So let's dive in. I've read all of these stories in the last couple of days. I devoured this thing when I brought it home earlier in the week. It's really good. So, of course, based on the classic character Conan the Barbarian created by Robert E. Howard, our writers, all of the writers are Michael Fleischer, Larry Yakata, Roy Thomas, and we have a host of illustrators which we'll go through when we tackle each issue. I'm not going to linger too long on any given issue. There is a nice part 2 of an interview with Ernie Chan, which, of course, took place in 2011, and he was kind of hard selling them on getting back into doing some more Conan stuff. Throughout the interview, it was kind of funny how he kind of sticks that in. But of course, Ernie's an artist and he wanted to work. So it's a fun little interview. And part 1 is in the earlier volume, which I just showed you. We have a nice pinup by Ernie Chan here. And then we get into our first issue, 160. Cover art by Bob Camp. And our interiors pencils are Bob Camp with amazing Armando Gil inks. And this one's The Veil of Darkness. It's a Michael Fleischer story. This is a cool story because Conan, it seems like this period, Conan had a number of sidekicks. And he has perhaps just this one issue sidekick and this musician who befriends him because he is, by this blow to the head, blinded for the remainder, almost the entire remainder of the story. And so these guys, he's murdering them, and then he's blinded. Of course, the guards come, so they've got to run away and can't finish Conan off. And here, Conan's sight fades, and so they visit this wise woman, and she gives Conan an elixir and says, in a few days, it might restore his sight. Might. In the meantime, the gang is still looking for them, so these two have to flee the city. And really, really love Armando Gil's inks on these Bob Camp pencils. I know Bob Camp mainly as an inker for John Buscema, so seeing Bob Camp's pencils and the effect Armando Gil's inks have on them is really pleasing. It's really cool. And the storytelling is top-notch. It reminds me a lot of Buscema in a way, and I guess Bob Camp worked with him enough that they kind of have similar tendencies. And of course, this musician is acting as Conan's eyes, hiding behind this tree, giving him directions. And we get some pretty amazing action, pretty grim action here. Remember, this is not the unfettered gore and nudity that we often get in Savage Sword, in my read-throughs of Savage Sword, but it's still pretty, for a Comics Code book, still a pretty graphic story and action in this collection. Here the two flee into this spent gold mine. And here, when I was reading this story, I had read it, of course, years ago, and I thought, I thought our musician friend had bought it here, but we'll see. I was pretty bummed out because he's a likable character. I love this little inset here, and the details of the Armando Gil inks on this guy's facial features are really apparent here. I also picked up a Savage Sword story. I picked up probably about 5 or 6 Savage Sword magazines for $3 each during ID's big sale this week. And one of them is completely illustrated by Armando Gil, so I'm going to have to cover that one in the show. And of course, here we see 4 great sightless panel, or basically just all word balloon panels here as Conan takes the lights out and finishes these guys off in the dark as he had memorized his environment completely. And his sight is beginning to recover. We see our musician friend has also recovered from his injury. So we have what amounts to the closest thing to a happy ending in a Conan comic. Ha ha! That old hag was right after all, when she said that all I needed was some quiet relaxation to put me back on my feet again. For Conan, of course, it includes wanton violence. And then here we have the reintroduction of a new sidekick. Great Buscema cover here. And this issue is awesome because it's Buscema pencils and inks, and I really like when Buscema inks his own pencils. Just incredible. And this mysterious fellow is going to help Conan out because these guys got the drop on him. And it turns out to be his old friend Fafnir Redbeard from way back in Conan the Barbarian number 20. And he tells the tale of how he lost this left arm after that battle in Conan number 20. So this is, 168? 140 issues later or so, this character is back. Great old crone here. It looks like a D&D hag. Really cool. Love the details on her hut too, with those glowing skulls. And Fafnir's on a quest to get his arm back or get some replacement arm, and she gives him this demon arm, which is crazy, but it seems like it's going to work out here initially. The pair save these women from these slavers, but then Fafnir quickly realizes he can't completely control his arm, and unfortunately, he kills this poor woman with it. And of course, it turns out the hag is in league with these other enemies of Conan, and they want to get at Conan using this demon arm. So they've used her to do it. She's got to be closer to control it, so she teleports them to the scene, which ultimately will be a mistake for her. She gets reduced to ashes here. And great ending here is that woman's friend gets her revenge. "'Twas at bottom your fault my friend Serena was slain, not the Vandermans. Borg, don't leave me. Blast you, dog. Because of you, the best friend I ever had is dead. Are you all right, Redbeard? I suppose I am." That's a more somber ending for sure. Great cover here on 162, another Buscema cover. This cover was recently homaged by Roberto de la Torre in the modern Conan series as one of the alternate covers. And again, we have Buscema pencils and inks, and boy, I love the way John Buscema draws women. They're just gorgeous. Here he's still with Fafnir, and of course we have the return of the Falcon Men, Conan's old assassin enemies. They're like an assassin brotherhood, and another of his enemies teams up with them. This crazy demon. I think his name's Jegel Zog, maybe. Oh, Jurgel Zod. Yeah, he's Jurgel Zod. I love the way Buscema draws his darksome realm, as he calls it. It does also, too, kind of remind me of the scenes in Limbo that Buscema drew for the Kitty and Ilyana limited series in the X-Men canon. Just beautiful fight scenes here. Really awesome. I love the way the storytelling in this panel where Jekyll-Zod is causing them to plummet what they thought was a pool of water, but it's actually a pool of fire. So really cool. And Conan shows incredible strength being able to scale this wall with Fafnir hanging from him. And they're hiding in the tall grass, and Jekyll-Zod summons these snakes. And it's not always that our cover lines up with the story, but this one actually did. The Falcon Men unleash their deadly trained falcons on Conan. They're cutting him to ribbons here. Wow, you're raising my entire weight one-handed as though I were no more than a babe in arms. Little wonder the Cushites called you Amra, lion. The editor helpfully tells us that Amra means lion. They reach this secret temple, and there is a statue of Jekyll-Zod there. So it's all been a setup, driving them to this place so he can take his revenge on them. But Conan brilliantly traps him in this mirror and then shatters it. And here I think I should have grabbed this issue because I think the color is going to be much different here than it is in the issue. But I picked another issue coming up here that I'll do a quick comparison with. Great Ernie Chan cover. And again, this cover has absolutely nothing to do with the story. It's just a cool cover. Cavern of the Vines of Doom. So this one's John Buscema with Charles Vess inks, which I really like quite a bit. And here, Fafnir, who's kind of a sorry character, a sad character, he really has some bad luck here as he meets this woman. Again, beautifully drawn by John Buscema and Charles Vess. And they develop an attachment, but she has a dark secret. And we won't find that out until, of course, after Conan slays barehanded this brown bear, this grizzly bear, which is just insane. Of course, he feels strangely weak around her. We're going to find out why. These are old friends of his, but they're really not, as it's revealed that they are dead, and these guys are exact duplicates of them, and that's going to tie into the woman's origin as well. So they're stabbed and they're gushing water. It turns out there are these weird fungal creatures, which there's a little bit of Cthulhu in this story, really. And of course, we've talked in the past about Robert Howard's link to H.P. Lovecraft and their correspondence and friendship. So it's not a surprise that other Conan writers will kind of go back and get a mythos-like, almost Migo-like race and insert them into the Hyborian Age. And there we go into their history, how they existed alongside dinosaurs. And love this shot of this little guy here. They're not inherently evil, but I mean, the way they survive is to basically drain people's life essence and replace them. So it's not and this woman is one of them. She killed the woman whose body this was and replaced her. But she feels awful about it and doesn't want to do it anymore. They escape, and at the end, rather than stay safe with her people, she agrees to go with Fafnir, even though the sunlight will kill her. And it's really a sad end here. She's not really dead, you know that, don't you, Conan? In the forests, in the grasslands, in the meadows resplendent with blooming wildflowers, so long as my heart keeps beating, she lives. It's kind of touching, nice. Oh, look at this incredible Armando Gil cover. We get a little nice dose of Armando Gil in this collection, which, again, never unhappy about. This is a filler story, this 164, written by Larry Yakata and drawn by Gary Quappi. So our regular team of Fleischer and Buscema are gone for this issue. Maybe there was a deadline. Maybe this was planned to give them a month off. But yeah, this is a fantastic backup story with great Gary Quappi's art. I should also mention that throughout this collection, and this is period of Conan's Conan's title's existence, yet Larry Hama provides incredible editorial guidance throughout all the different creative teams. This kid wants, he tries to kill Conan because Conan killed his, I believe it was his 3 older brothers. But then he seemingly says he wants Conan to teach him how to be a fighter and a killer. Conan grudgingly agrees. They meet this wizard, and he sends them on a quest to get a magical sword. Hence our title, I believe, the Jeweled Sword of Tem. Fight off some wolves here. He's doing the cooking. And he has some pretty deep philosophical stuff going on here. Do you hate him? This is talking about people that Conan kills. Do you hate him? Do you feel sad afterwards? Just another chore. Are you frightened? Does it make you feel good or bad? If you enjoy killing, the world will despise you. If you hate killing, you will despise yourself. So, some deep words going back and forth here. And of course, it wouldn't be a Conan collection without an ape sighting. We have these snow apes here, brilliantly drawn by Gary Quapis. And Conan, in these incredible 5 or 6 panel sequence, makes short work of these apes with his trusty broadsword. Here the rope seemingly fails, and we'll get to that later. Conan almost plummets to his death, but he saves himself. Curse these ropes. Strange, I waxed them myself to make sure they would be strong enough. At last, the valley of eternal darkness. This must be the unquiet river Mahiva spoke of. Just a brilliant storytelling here from our art team. Wow, it's Gary Quapis. I should compliment the colorist, but this isn't Will Glass's color work. I'm assuming this is the work of the Dark Horse recolors. So keep going here. I love these statues. Oh, and there's these 2 ladies here frozen on ice, these 2 beautiful ladies. That can't be good. And then there's the Sword of Tem. And Conan chops it free. And it's the kid here has taken the magic sword and he's possessed by it. He wants revenge on Conan for killing his brothers. So he's the one who frayed the ropes. He's ultimately wanted to kill Conan. And so they are battling. When these 2 ladies revive, and they have no allegiance to either of these 2. And so the boy gets blasted and the sword gets knocked free. The sword is ours. Before she can alight upon it, he, with the quickness of a panther. Be done with him quickly, Atya. His strength increases each moment he has the sword. Great use of eldritch power here, really cool. Excellent artwork. And here, this is definitely your digital color at work in this panel for sure. Conan uses the sword to defeat these 2 guardians, and then he destroys the sword along with them in a pyre of flame. And he's about to leave, and the still burned kid wants Conan to put him out of his misery. Have mercy on a fool, the pain. Finish me, I beg you. Put an end to it. It's nothing to you. You said that killing was just another chore, like chopping wood. Ben Kamal, you make your own rules about friendship and loyalty and honor. You do your own chores. So Conan leaves him to die in pain. So here we have 165 and a return of John Buscema with inks by Armando Gil. And I love this combination. Even better than the Bob Camp Armando Gil is John Buscema Armando Gil. I love it too. I love it, just like a couple of panels, you get this gang of rogues, and just with a little bit of characterization and effort, they take on a personality. You know, they're rich characters. Of course, this seemingly homely girl is now possessed by this ancient sorceress who beguiles Fafnir into helping her. Ugh, love it when Conan uses the furniture to deal out justice. Here she is now. She only can be possessed at night, so during the day she's back to her normal self. Conan's able to move this statue that 10 men could barely move. Things come to a head when this gang of cutthroats shows up. And she looks in the mirror and gets possessed by the spirit. Then the temple guardians show up and start hacking her compatriots to pieces. She gets caught in this guillotine trap, beheaded. And again, the closest thing we're going to have to a happy ending here. It seems I'll have to find you some other trinket now, doesn't it, girl? No further gifts for a while, Cimmerian, please. Okay, so here's 166. And then that's the issue that I picked to show you folks just the difference in the colors. So let me see if I can do this in a way that is that matches up here. It's tough because they don't really match, but I'll do the best I can. So let's look at our splash page here. And I'll put this like that. And we can see the difference in the color here in the this splash page and then the newsprint version. It's pretty noticeable. I mean, it's definitely like the tonal difference here in the buildings and the shadows and everything. It's really a different reading experience. And it's interesting. I like them both. I mean, that's why I'm probably going to hang on to these collections because they're easy to grab if you just want to read a bunch of issues in a row right at hand rather than digging in one of your short boxes. I keep mine in short boxes. Yeah, there's a nice comparison there of the color difference. So here we get some red. We get some tonal difference in the shield. Here there is no tonal difference in the shield. And again here. So you are losing a bit in the color choices that are made. It's just a different experience. Like here you get actual colors, but I guess to make it more of a pure flashback, it's all sort of one tone versus multiple different colors. Yeah, there, that gold, the way that gold is shining, those when he's paying those guys off. Let me take a quick look and see if I can find that in here. Let's see. I may have shot past that. I think I did. Here it is right there. Yeah. So yeah, the shine on this gold versus here, very different. So again, the tension between Conan and Fafnir has risen over these last issues because Fafnir just feels inadequate hanging out with Conan. He's only got one arm, even though he's incredibly formidable. He stands no chance against this giant, this half giant. Conan ends up, after initially getting roughed up by him, killing him. And here things come to a head. Your fight, blasted Redbeard, you would have gotten yourself killed. Aye, mayhap I would have, but at least I would have died like a man. So things are coming to a real head here in issue 167. We have John Buscema, Michael Fleischer script, John Buscema pencils, Dave Simons inks. Very good, very nice inks from Dave Simons here. This is, again, just letting Buscema's pencils do the work here. Just working with what Buscema gives you and not doing too much is the way to look really good over Buscema's pencils. There's no Ernie Chan inks in there. We had a couple Ernie Chan covers, but no Ernie Chan inks. So Conan, Fafnir, and this mysterious woman who needs to preserve her life. She's been practically immortal, but she has to bathe in the egg yolk of this magical beast. And so they've gone to retrieve the egg for her. They're being well paid. And of course, Fafnir was, he had yellow lotus powder, but he was suckered out of it by a lady of the night the night before, and she replaced it with sand. So of course, he messed up pretty big time there. And that results in him smashing the egg, going over the side, seemingly to his death. And this woman following, here she breaks her neck, but she's still alive because of her immortality. So she then leaps the rest of the distance to join Fafnir, and who knows what happens, because in the end, Conan is left having to decide, dead or alive, I've got to try to find them. The end. And so we won't get the end for that, because that ends the issues. We finish up this amazing collection with Conan Annual number 7, which I don't think I've covered this on the show. You know, I've done almost 150 episodes now, so I'd have to double check. If I haven't covered this on the show, it needs to be covered. I don't really want to cover it here in this long video. I want to give it its own room to breathe. This is one of my favorite Conan comic books of all time. I got this as a kid, read it to death. To this day, if I see this in a dollar bin, I buy it, and I probably have 4 or 5 copies now in the house in various spots, so I can just pick it up and read it wherever I'm sitting. But this is Roy Thomas, John Buscema, Buonanotte, Villamonte, and Armando Gil. So we have a great inking team. This is an adaptation of Conan of the Isles by L. Sprague de Camp and Lynn Carter. Many people regard it as an inferior Conan story, but I kind of like it. It's like Conan pushing 70, leaving the kingdom to Khan here, and going to solve a mystery that's been plaguing the land, like these red shadows are taking people away, literally just magically transporting them away somewhere. And Conan gets a dream from Epimetheus, the sage, to investigate. And he's going to end up going to Atlantis. But getting there, he needs to get a boat. And so he goes to Zingara to do it. And rekindles, and this is great Armando Gil inks on this page too. He rekindles the memory of him as Amra, the Corsair. And there is a brutally sad ending to this in Conan the Savage by Roy Thomas that really is, and this is the back cover piece here. Yeah, it really is a sad ending to all of this. And here they are on the Red Lion. Oh, this is so good. This might be Villamonte inks here at the end. This chapter. It could be Danny Buonanotte. It's hard for me to tell their inks apart. This Kraken battle is amazing. And of course, it's said at the end of this, to be continued in next year's annual, and of course they never did. It was a filler, another story, completely unrelated, and it was later completed in a graphic novel that's really hard to get. We have these cool pinups from the annual. Frank Reyes, really cool stuff. And then that's it. Some Dark Horse advertising, and that is all. So that has been the Chronicles of Conan, Volume 21. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe. Tell your friends, and I'll bring you more soon on Scott Reads Comics. Thanks for watching.